Good morning, everybody, and welcome once again to the XY Spark podcast. This is your boy, your men's life coach, Rolando. It is a new week, and we want to say thank you for joining us again, and thank you for those who are joining us for the very first time. Yes, guys, every day, every week, we have new persons who have decided to become a part of the tribe of men who are seeking to normalize conversations about men's mental health. So we want to welcome you if you're joining us live for the first time on TikTok. We want to welcome you to our TikTok live, and we just wanted to let you guys know that we are here weekday mornings at 5:30 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, and our goal and our aim is to seek to normalize conversations about men's mental health. The XY Spark podcast is a podcast for men. And so, if you are a man or a young man, if you are a man or boy, young person, teenager, if you're in high school, wherever you are, whoever you are, we welcome you to the tribe, this tribe, XY Spark, where we seek to continually normalize conversations about men's mental health. Today is a Monday. The caption is Motivation Monday. The caption is Motivation Monday. And the theme that we're going to be looking at for today is retraining the brain, retraining of the brain. We also wanted to welcome those who join us live on YouTube. If you are live on YouTube, thank you for being here. If you are also live on the Podbean app, you can follow us on our podcast at xyspark.podbean.com. You can find us on Spotify, you can find us on iTunes, on Amazon, on iHeartRadio, and the list goes on and on. You just go and look for XY Spark and you will see us popping up right there. And we want you to share. We want you to comment. We want to say to us how these episodes have been helping you to become the best version of yourself. So we want to dive into our conversation, and today we want to lay the platform for our conversation. We're talking about brain power, retraining of the brain. And these are some quotes that I wanted to put out there in front of you, and I want you to think and reflect on this quote. The first one is this. The first quote says this. It says, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." The second one is life and power. Life and death is in the power of the tongue. Life and death is in the power of the tongue. Here's the next one. By your thoughts you shall be justified, or by your thoughts you shall be condemned. Here is another quote. Here's another quote. Mindset makes a man or breaks a man. Here is another quote. All meaningful and lasting change starts with the imagination and work its way out. End quote. Now, why am I using these quotes to create the platform for our conversation? Guys, I want you to understand this, that the brain is a very powerful muscle. The brain is a very powerful muscle. And if we sit around, guys, and we constantly create these negative scenarios, if we continue to create these negative storylines, if we continue to allow ourselves to sink in the quicksand of negativity, of self doubt, of feelings that or thoughts that are telling us that we're not good enough, we'll never make it, we won't get anywhere, then those are the fruits that we're going to produce. You hear that old expression, those are the fruits of our labor. I want to challenge all the men who perform, and I also want to acknowledge women who are listening live right now. If you are feeding your mind on negativity, if you're feeding your mind on things that are not empowering and things that are not transformative, then more and more and more you're going to find it harder for you to adapt and cope in the challenges and stresses that we are all going to see as you're on this journey, as you're on this path. All right. So retraining your brain has to do with you being mindfully or consciously aware of the thoughts that you are ruminating on over and over and over again. So what are some of the thoughts that you find that you spend a lot of time ruminating on? Are those thoughts that you're saying to yourself you're not good enough? Are those thoughts that you're saying to yourself I'm not worthy of love? Are those thoughts that are saying, hey, I'm a failure, I'll never be able to make it? Are those thoughts that you're having thoughts that are saying, you know what, this is too hard for me, or this has gone on for too long, this is too much, I can't do it, can't handle it, right? Life is too hard. Why is this happening to me? When is this going to be over? And we create these scenarios where we remain stuck because we have taught our brains to not be strong enough or good enough or smart enough to handle the stresses of life. These are the reasons why we get depressed from time to time. These are the reasons why we get anxious because of the thoughts that we are having. And we now, guys, as we feed our minds on these negative medicine, then we start becoming, like, how do you say it, slaves to these systems, these scenarios that we've created. Here's another quote. John Maxwell, he said this. He said, and I may be paraphrasing the quote, I'm not giving it to you word for word, but the quote goes something similar to this. He says, a pessimist says that the storm will never end. An optimist says the storm will pass. Leaders adjust the sail. End quote. So if you notice, the three different individuals, they all are in a similar situation. But the mindset, the perspective is one where the first person looks and says, hey, guess what? This is from lasting to everlasting. This is never ending. This thing is not going away. And sometimes that's what we do when we're in situations. We see them as permanent when they're really temporary. Okay? Sometimes we see situations as permanent when they are temporary. But the mindset that we generate, the mindset that we have, gets us into that space where we are looking at the situation or we are interpreting the situation as something that will never end. And sometimes when you look around, it may be going on for a week or 2 weeks or a month, and we're thinking, this is forever. But when we retrain our brains to look at it through a different lens, we'll be better able to say, hey, you know what? This situation has been going on for a long time, but this too shall pass. Can you say that to yourself right now? You may be joining the live. I don't know where you're joining from. You may be going through a situation right now. Can you just pause and tell yourself, this too shall pass? This is not temporary. This is not permanent, rather, it's temporary. Can you say that? Can you even type that in the chat? This too shall pass. This is not permanent, it's temporary. You may be going through, a physical ailment right now. You might have been diagnosed with something and your mind is focusing mainly on that. I want you to just pause, breathe it in, and remind yourself this is only temporary, it's not permanent. This too shall pass. And so we have to seek to train our brains to adjust and adapt. And that is what is going to give you the edge. That's what gives me the edge. That's what makes you a force to reckon with. When life tosses boulders at you, you have got to seek to train your brain to adjust and adapt so that you can apply yourself more effectively. All right. I don't know where you're joining us from. If this is your first time joining us on our TikTok live, thank you for being here. Just type in the chat where you're joining us from. We'd like to acknowledge you, send a shout out to you. You are in tune to the XY Spark podcast. This is the podcast for men where we seek to normalize conversations about men's mental health, because we know that mental health is not a myth. And our goal is to seek to break the stamina of the stigma about men's mental health. We also want you guys to know that we seek to offer live life coaching calls right here on the podcast. So if you join us live on YouTube, if you join us live on TikTok or on the podcast, we are here to seek to engage with you. If you have questions, type it in the chat. Comment, type it in the chat. The goal here is to create a safe space where more men can be empowered to become the best version of themselves. We also want to say all the women who join us here, who come into the space every morning, we appreciate you. We value your presence. So, ladies who are here, thank you for being here. And please keep coming, because we are looking at working together. So, ladies, you have a husband, you have a brother, you have a dad, you have a friend. Guess what? Go tell them and join this tribe, a tribe that is moving in unison to break the stigma about men's mental health. And so we're talking about retraining our brain. The brain is such a powerful muscle. And here's the thing, guys, anything that you produce, it starts with that which you have given to your mind. So if you feed your mind on negativity, that's how you're going to live your life as a negative person. If you feed your mind on pessimism, that's how you're going to live your life as a pessimistic person. If you feed your mind on things that are empowering, things that are transformative, things that are healthy, things that are happy, things that help to initiate change, that's the fruit that you are going to reap. Here's another quote that I want to share with you. There's a quote that says this: whatsoever things are pure and honest and lovely and just and of good report, think on these things. That's another powerful quote. So I'm saying, guys, that if you train your brain to think of positive things, to think of hopeful things, to think of healthy things, then your brain will be ignited and transformed, and you will start thinking and living your life with a new perspective. So, how have you been training your brain? What have you been feeding your mind on? Retraining the brain has to do with the way we think. Retraining the brain also has to do with the way we eat, right? So if you're not eating properly and if you're not eating healthy, then you are tampering with your brain's capacity or your brain's ability to adjust rather, and adapt. So retraining the brain has also to do with how we eat. If we're eating healthy, retraining the brain has to do with how much sleep we are getting. Are you prioritizing sleep, or are you leaving sleep for something that you do when you have time? Retraining of the brain has a lot to do with how much sleep we are getting and how persistent and consistent we are being with our sleep schedule. All right? Retraining the brain, guys, has to do a lot with what we feed our minds on. All right. Are you spending your time to listen to, quality music, for example, healthy music? Are you reading? Are you listening to empowering podcasts? Are you putting yourself in those spaces where you're able to feed your mind with good things, things that are healthy, things that are sane, and things that are transformative? Remember, I talked about how we eat. Your diet, guys, is a big thing. So if you are someone who, let's say you're drinking excessively, let's say you're smoking excessively, how is that helping to preserve your mind? So we have got to work hard on preserving our mental capacity. And when we work hard to preserve our mental capacity through our diet, through exercise, through sleep, and through being conscious about the thoughts that we are leaning into more often than not, then we'll be able to retrain our brains. And I'm telling you this, that mindset makes a man or breaks a man. Mindset can heal you, or mindset can hurt you. Mindset can change the trajectory of your path, or mindset can make you remain stagnant and unable to move. Retraining your brain has a lot to do with you taking ownership and taking the responsibility and taking the lead to do something differently in your life right now. So I want to challenge you to make that commitment, to remember that your mindset is your greatest asset. And if you pay attention to your mindset, it will change the way that you live your life. Thank you so much for being here with us once again on the XY Spark podcast. This is your boy, your man's life coach, Rolando. We hope to see you again tomorrow morning, same time, same place, 5:30 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. We do look forward to seeing you. Until then, I just wanted to remind you that at XY Spark, we believe that there is a spark in you. We will see you again tomorrow morning. Have a great day.